Hello! Today I'd like to talk about the surprising egalitarianism of Fallout 76. So what is egalitarianism? In general, it's a concept that all people are equal and deserve equal opportunities. And it might seem like such a small thing, but fairness is something that all humans inherently share. Everybody gets upset when they feel unfairly treated. Even monkeys have a sense of fairness. Give monkeys unfair pay and you'll see what happens. But when it comes to online games, it's normal for players who have higher levels or spend real money on microtransactions to be more powerful than lower level players. That in turn encourages players to either spend more money or spend more time in the game to keep up with the Joneses. Sports games are particularly bad at this. Some of them literally rely on shame and peer pressure to force you to spend real money. Yeah, that means you, NBA 2K. Technically, you can increase your character's abilities by just playing. But in the latest versions, it's got so bad that it's just not feasible.
Or another mode. So either waste your time playing nothing but NBA 2K24, or pay at least $170 just to be competitive online in NBA 2K24.
But even if you struggle through and do that, that's just in time for the next year's version to come out and you lose all your progress. That's fine if you're only playing in single player, but the only realistic way to actually enjoy the game online is to fork over money. We're talking about hundreds of real life dollars here. And if you want another character, more money. This is very much by design.
Instead of having fun and playing the game, it's like you're checking into a work shift.
Many of the latest sports games are deliberately designed to be as aggravating as possible in order to get you to open up your wallet. The companies that make them believe that their exclusive licenses give them a captive audience that they can milk for cash. And unfortunately, the popularity of the real sport means that there's a built-in audience that's almost desperate to play the games. But that's not the end of it. The community itself acts to force players to spend money.
To improve your player, or to even put on different clothes so other players will actually want to squad up with you, you need to spend VC.
Apparently, if you aren't wearing custom clothing in the player lobby, which of course you buy with real money, the other players will refuse to play with you. They think that having you as a teammate will make them lose matches because you obviously haven't spent enough real money in the game. So you have an environment where you have to spend real money on cosmetics in order to even participate in the online game. Spending money is a normal thing, and players who don't are actively ostracized by the rest of the community. As a new player, why would you want to participate in such a culture? The answer is that many don't, and it actually pushes away many who might be interested otherwise.
Get one thing straight, I hate 2K and I hate this community with every fiber of my being. I'm coming in real unprofessional because this community has done pissed me off way too much. I'm genuinely convinced half of y'all are crayon eaters and some of y'all haven't even passed the 6th grade. If you've even participated in this community for a millisecond, you know the type of toxicity that comes from it, so I don't care.
But things are very different in Fallout 76. After a certain point, levels are just numbers, and the level 10,000 is not somehow more powerful than a level 1000 character. It's a surprisingly egalitarian game when you understand how it works. Of course, there is a period when level matters. A level 1 character just out of the vault has 1 for every attribute. Every level up gives you a new attribute to increase. The gear you find or craft will improve every 10 levels, and you'll get access to more and better perk cards that you can use. Going up levels means more power in almost every way. At this stage, the game isn't egalitarian. Think of it as the growing stage of your characters. You're supposed to get familiar with the world, meet new factions, and explore different regions as they open up. Basically, you, the player, is getting to know the game, and your character is growing alongside that. But things change dramatically once you reach level 50. After this level, every player has access to the same things as any other player. Every weapon and armor piece you get is now at the max level possible. You can pick from all the same perks. You have exactly the same chance to get great legendaries. Level 50 might sound high, but you can reach that in an afternoon, and if you really focus on leveling, you can get there in a few hours. It's not very long at all. The only way levels change your character after this point is by legendary perks. They do give you some improvements, but most don't dramatically change your character. Even using legendary perks to stack 30 more attribute points isn't that impactful. Sure, it's nice, but you can't manage without them. Having a god roll weapon makes a bigger difference than the legendary perks. They're just there to incentivize players to play longer. But even that stops after around level 600. After that, levels literally stop making any difference. A level 700 is literally no different from a level 2000. If you run into a level 1000 player, they're going to have better gear. But it's not because the game is weighted towards giving them better gear. They've just had more chances to get that better gear. A level 50 has exactly the same chance of getting a god roll as a level 1000 has. It would take some absolutely extraordinary amount of luck. Enough that you should think about buying a lottery ticket if it's happened to you, but the chances are exactly the same for both players. The loot distribution of Fallout 76 is also extremely equal, almost unbelievably so. Everybody near to an enemy that's killed gets assigned the same level of loot. So you can literally just stand around as a level 1 while everybody else kills a 3-star legendary enemy, and you get a legendary item assigned to you just for being physically nearby. And if you happen to have done some damage, you'll get the loot regardless of where the enemy died. This means that you can go to even the most difficult events with the most difficult enemies, and you'll get just as much of a reward as the person who did most of the work to kill it. But what about the player who did all the work? Are they missing out on loot? In other words, is the system unfair to them? No, they still get all the loot. Nobody misses out on any loot. The game just provides more loot for each player. So if you hypothetically had 1 million players around the legendary monster, the game would simply provide 1 million legendary items. Obviously that's an exaggeration, because you can't get more than a few dozen players per server. But hypothetically, if you could get 1 million players on the same server, you should get 1 legendary for each player. And on top of that, player loot is locked to each player. Nobody can go around stealing other people's loot after an event. It's literally impossible unless they first picked it up and then dropped it. So not only can you not be a greedy git and hog all the loot, you can't steal other people's loot either. And trying to kill them for the loot doesn't work. Because of the way the PvP system works, the most you can do is take their junk, and frankly, junk doesn't matter. You end up with a system that is not only egalitarian towards all players, it enables new and less experienced players to start becoming powerful by merely participating in public events, even if they can't actually make a difference. Experienced players who understand the system avoid killing everything just because they can. It's actually a waste of ammo. Instead, you want to do just a bit of damage to an enemy and move on to the next one so other players can also tag these enemies. This is to the advantage of all players. You get extra experience for each team member who also tags the same enemy. And because every player has the same chance to roll a god roll, the more players get loot, the more chance that someone will get a god roll. And some of those will end up at player shops, either because the player already has one or because it doesn't fit their style. It's a win-win for the entire community. This egalitarianism has some interesting impacts on the game. It makes it obvious that the game is fair. All players want from any game is a fair system, not a game where spending more money makes you more powerful. Unfortunately, major games, especially online games, are almost guaranteed to integrate that type of pay-to-win mentality into their core design. And even more unfortunately, the numbers make it obvious that this works with at least a significant number of people. The insane profits that games like Grand Theft Auto make from shark cards mean that this will be the way for online games for the foreseeable future. In Fallout 76 you can spend real money too, but it's for camp items and cosmetics only. They don't make you any more powerful than someone who's not spent an extra cent on the game. If you bought a cosmetic paint or clothing set, it was for your own satisfaction, not because players will somehow think better of you. Because the system is inherently fair, you actually can't judge a character's power just based on their appearance. I often find that the highest level characters carrying all manner of god rolls are the ones wearing the weirdest clothing. It's almost as if they're over trying to look good. That may have been something they did in the past, but now they're just trying to amuse themselves. The equal distribution of loot and experience continues this trend. Just because you're a high level player, it doesn't mean that you get more loot. And the inability to steal someone's legendary items ensures that this equal distribution of loot stays that way. There is no accumulation of powerful items by high level players or players who spend real money in the game. You can easily see just how different the outcomes are from the two systems. In a pay-to-win system, you foster a toxic atmosphere that actively pushes out new or lower level players. But in a fair system like Fallout 76, players have the same opportunities as any other player. Some might have more god rolls because they've spent more time in the game, or been luckier. But fundamentally, players are equal after level 50. Once they understand how the game works, a new player simply doesn't experience a massive gulf between themselves and the level 1000 player. And that encourages new players to stay around and grow their characters. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.